It's March 9th, day 48 of the Trump presidency. And today we had a little incident near the White House. A man was shot by Secret Service. It sounds like more of a mental breakdown, probably, than any kind of assassination attempt. Actually, Trump wasn't even there. He spends Lord knows how much time in Mar-a-Lardo. Sorry. Everybody on TikTok calls it Mar-a-Lardo for obvious reasons. Anyways, the man was 27 years old. His name was Andrew Dawson. And he was running around outside with a gun saying he wanted to die by suicide by police, which is just really awful and sad. And it's not good. I posted a video on TikTok today talking about the mental health crisis in this country and like how much worse it's going to get. Let's just be honest. I mean, people are struggling financially. The level of tension and fear has never been higher. Things are very unpredictable, which is very bad for people with PTSD. You know, if you have PTSD and you get stressed out enough, you can go into psychosis. Your brain will go into psychosis to try to protect you from reality if your reality is too dangerous. Very sad. I think he's in the hospital. I don't think he died. I don't know. There's no updates, so I don't think he's dead. And I don't know what happens next, but probably nothing good. Mark Carney is going to be replacing Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party in Canada. He's actually pretty much brand new to politics. However, he has served at two G7 central banks in Europe and Canada, I think. Sorry. Anyways, he has like a fairly significant financial history. So he won by 86%, essentially by convincing his party that he was the best choice for negotiating tariffs with Trump. Good luck to him. I don't know jack squat about the implications of this because I don't know him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he's a good dude, a bad dude. 86% seems substantial. Hopefully they know what they're doing. We sure didn't. Not that I believe, I don't believe that this election was a legitimate election, but, here we are. Anyways. So Russia has gained some ground recently in Kursk. They launched a surprise raid and captured 4 different settlements. I think for obvious reasons, Ukraine is slipping a bit. They don't have our support. They don't have our intel. Trump has basically made it clear he wants to hand this to Russia if possible. And I think he's going to try, I don't know if what the UK is doing is enough or if it's fast enough. Again, time will tell what happens, People keep questioning Trump, directly, saying, like, what's up with the fucking tariffs? Like, are you just going to turn them on and off whenever you feel like it? And his response was that tariffs will probably go up. So, whatever. I don't know. It's just, it is what it is, kids. Enjoy your eggs while they still exist. Now, eggs don't have anything to do with tariffs. I'm just being weird. So ICE has now arrested a Palestinian activist who was leading a lot of the protests at Columbia University. They're like, obviously the Trump presidency right now is like heavily going after Columbia University for supporting free speech against the war in Palestine. War, if you can call it that. Obviously a lot of people feel that it's pretty one-sided. In any case, they're going to try to make an example out of people who like sympathize or empathize with what's happening to Palestinian civilians. And I think that we can expect this to escalate across the country. I think that this particular young man. They're like making an example of him and kind of like letting the rest of the country know what's coming, honestly. Yeah. There has been another plane crash. It was a small plane. It was I believe like a private plane. There's only 5 people on it, but it crashed into a residential area in Pennsylvania. There were no injuries on the ground. I think there's some damage to buildings, maybe. The 5 people on board all actually survived, and they're all in the hospital, which is pretty incredible. I don't have any knowledge of whether this has to do with the fact that, like, you know, the FAA like doesn't exist anymore. I would assume so. You know, obviously there's been a lot of plane crashes, and I feel like I'm guessing that like smaller planes are maybe they seem to crash more frequently. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not knowledgeable enough about flight patterns or anything to know what's up with that, but it's something that happened. Speaking of planes, so Mar-a-Lago has a restricted airspace over it, and now it like always will. He's usually there, and so they have to spend a bunch of money to kind of like double up on our security and make that a no-fly zone. They had to intercept a civilian aircraft today or yesterday. Today. This is the 20th time that that's happened since he was inaugurated. And again, they have to have resources in order to do that. They have the Air Force over there enforcing this no-fly zone, which apparently Florida is just not paying attention. They just keep flying through it anyways. I mean, everyone's fine, but that's just a thing that happened. And I highly doubt that the civilian airplane, like there's no evidence that anything sketchy was happening. I'm sure they're just like not paying attention, or maybe they weren't aware, or whatever the case may be. New York, the governor of New York has declared a state of emergency because of the brush fire in Long Island. They've done some evacuations. It sounds like there's going to be some more. I think that they're mostly worried about like the Amazon warehouse and some other things that are like local and nearby. Again, we're going to continue to see unusual weather events. That's just like what's up now. Like that's our life. They're going to be places maybe that hasn't happened before. But as conditions change and things get hotter and things get drier, or things get wetter and colder, you know, the thing about climate change is everything gets much more erratic, and the weather, the storms that do happen are just like a lot more violent. Experts are looking at the school shooting trends. They're looking at the data, and they're saying that there is a recent like increase, exponential growth in this pattern of extremism and mass violence in the youth. Again, I think everything that's happening right now, I think young men getting red-pilled super hard by Russia and the bots that are fucking helping them and the podcasters that are making money from it, really bad. I think obviously the despair, even climate change and the despair over climate change, and watching governments do nothing about it, that could easily drive a kid to go crazy because their future is being stolen from them right in front of their faces for money. They're not stupid. This is not the world is not creating a soft landing for people that are being brought into this world right now. It's just bad. It's bad news. Iran is indirectly calling out Trump after he sent them that letter demanding a renegotiation over nuclear weapons with them. And they made a reference to bullying governments, like trying to force them, like control them, essentially. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I don't know. I would prefer no one fucking have nuclear weapons. I think we're way past that. And I understand that it's a complicated subject. I also understand where they're coming from, especially now that we have like a violent madman in the White House for the second time. It's not like when we have just your run of the mill capitalist in there who just wants to make money. Like Trump is doing some weird ass shit right now. Not to say that he doesn't also just want to make money, but the way they're doing it is really destructive. And you really can't, I mean, he's threatening, he just threatened them and said that if they don't do what he says, he's would be forced to go to war with them. So, you know, again, do you blame them for wanting to have nuclear weapons? They don't feel safe. How could they? I don't know. I get it. It's one thing to take someone's nuclear weapons away and promise them safety and for them to believe you. It's another thing entirely to just say, like, no, I'm the one with a gun, but like, you're crazy, you're on drugs, you're senile, you're not trustworthy. I don't know. This is the most unpredictable, wildest administration the United States has ever had. So the whole world is going to feel it. And again, I don't blame them for wanting to have protection. So the Trump administration just signed an executive order excluding certain federal student loan borrowers from receiving loan forgiveness. And it's basically if they participated in any program that has anything to do with trans people or trans rights. It's actually like fairly broad. I know that sounds very specific, but it's not. Like any program that has to do with aiding and abetting illegal discrimination, meaning anything DEI related. And that is extremely broad, as we've seen. Anything to do with violating immigration laws of the current administration. So like they're looking backwards for, I mean, basically it's like, if you're not a white man, you're probably not getting loan forgiveness. Protest, like anything to do, because they listed basically like everything you would do during a protest. So basically any universities maybe that have ever like housed protests for anything. I mean, I think that what they're actually doing is just trying to cancel student loan forgiveness. Again, maybe they'll give it to some of the white dudes. They're trying to give the white dudes like a leg back up and to shove all of us back down into a trash can. I'm sorry, it just is the truth. If you're paying attention now, like that is literally what is happening. They want to eliminate the rights of everyone else. This is honestly, in a lot of ways, I see this as a death rattle of the white patriarchy. It's not going to work, by the way. It's not. It may work for a period of time. I don't think so. I don't think it will. I think it's going to have the opposite effect. I think you can't, good luck. Good luck forcing every woman in this gigantic country to marry some dude and have his kids. Like, it's not that, other countries where that has happened have really small populations. There are 365 million motherfucking people in this country. And this country, the reason why it's difficult to have a ground invasion in the United States is because the terrain changes every 100 miles, and it's extremely big geographically. We're in a very big area. We really it almost doesn't make sense for the United States to be all one country. We have really different problems from region to region. And, again, will the United States break up? Maybe. I don't know. But I don't foresee them being able to enforce laws that will undo all of the civil rights that have been gained over the years. Good luck. We'll see who complies. Not me, bitch. Anyways, Musk and Rubio are having a really public fight with the Polish foreign minister on X over Starlink in Ukraine because Musk keeps threatening to turn Starlink off in Ukraine. And this man, whose name is Sikorsky, said that they will just find a replacement. And then Rubio is like saying something along the lines of like, oh, like Elon's not really going to do that. And then he's like telling Sikorsky to be grateful. And then Elon saying their entire front line would collapse if I turned it off. He's such a fucking piece of shit. Like, he's just such a little twerp. He's like, literally, again, he's a nerd who got way too much power, who it's very clear that he has, it's more than a chip on his shoulder. He wants to destroy the world for rejecting him. I will never back off of that theory. And he just makes me sick. But anyways, that's a thing that's happening. And I don't know, is he going to do it? Probably. Again, if I were anyone that is currently relying on this administration for anything, you should stop. Truly. Again, unless you are a white man, then maybe it's okay. But I don't know about that either, because they are firing 80,000 veterans. So how about this? If you're a very wealthy white man, I'm sure you're not watching this show. But if you fall into that category, you're probably safe. Otherwise, you're fucked. We're all fucked. They're deporting migrants now from the United States wearing chains, like they're shackling them. They're shackling their ankles and their hands. They're keeping people like that for 40 hours or more. They're not shackling the children. Thank you. I appreciate that. When they take them to the bathroom, they're just uncuffing one hand. People come here because they're like dying. And a lot of them were awaiting trials for asylum, to be granted asylum, and they just all got canceled. They're not going to like hear them out. Some people are also coming here because they literally can't afford to feed themselves. They can't get jobs. They can't live. No one is going to think about what it would take for you to leave your home country and go somewhere else. It would take the Trump administration. I'm sorry. It's not a funny joke because I can't leave. I fucking want to, trust me. If I could have, I probably, like if circumstances were different, if I didn't have a child and I wasn't like sharing custody of a child in the United States, I'm sure I would have gone some time ago, probably. Sometimes I fantasize about like where I would go. Probably Costa Rica, maybe. If they would even, some of those places are like, no, dude, y'all can't come here anymore. And they have every right to do that. So yeah, anywhere that would take me, I think, is where I would go. So this is the last story for tonight. It's a little shorter. We had, obviously the clock sprung forward. We lost an hour. If you can't tell, I'm tired already. I have a little bit more to do before I can actually rest too. So anyways, the Republican budget plan, this is just honestly like, there is some schadenfreude here for me. And if you don't know what that word means, basically means like taking pleasure in karma. They're like defunding the police, dude. Not completely, but all the like police grant programs, the budgets are zeroed out. It's crazy. I can't wait to hear the response. Honestly, like there are some people that are MAGA that are so fucking delusional. Like literally, like how Trump said that he would stop the Ukraine war within the first 24 hours. Some dude was like, he didn't say which 24 hours. Gotcha there, Billy Bob. Anyways, some people are never going to get it at all, but there are people that were previously Trump supporters that are like, what the fuck? And, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them because they didn't give a shit what happened to us. Like, They don't care if women lose if women lose their rights. They don't care if minorities lose their rights. They don't care if gay people can't get married. They don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. So I'm not feeling much sympathy, but I am. I have a little bit of hope to hear that at least they're recognizing that they've been played. Like, that is meaningful to me. And I think, now it's happening to the police. Should be interesting to see what their response is. And that's all I'm going to say, because you know what? Again, some people will probably make excuses for him. And honestly, again, like, I think he's playing with fire. His supporters are the ones with the most guns and the ones with the most mental health problems. So, I mean, I think that's been really obvious with how, like, literally January 6th is like that movie. What is it called? Final Destination. Like, the people that have been released from January 6th, it's like death just keeps like finding them anyways in the craziest ways because they were just like destined or something. I don't know. It's a little bit creepy. I'm not going to lie. So it'll be interesting. One of these days, one of the things that they're doing that is like betraying his supporters so thoroughly, like at some point they're going to snap. And I think it's just a matter of time. And so on that note, I hope you guys sleep well with your fake one less hour of sleep in our made up world where time isn't real, money isn't real, society isn't real. These are all just agreed upon illusions. You can change your mind anytime you want. If only it were that easy, right? Anyways, love you. See you tomorrow.